All right, in today's video, we're going to be reacting to a video from Tdawgsmitty about why Fortnite players are happier than COD players. So I assume he's going to like compare the game and talk about why the Fortnite community is overall more happy than the Call of Duty community. And I have played both a lot, so I will be able to give my perspective. I started playing Fortnite the second day it came out, played a ridiculous amount of time, and then COD, I also played a lot. So like from COD 4 onward. Like I've talked about this if you watch my stream. But when I was like 12, I got hit by a car and broke my knee. And so like a lot of like hobbies I would have had just like couldn't really be done anymore. So I ended up playing an absurd amount of like Call of Duty growing up, or just like multiplayer games in general, but mostly COD from like 2008 onward, like COD 4 until World War II. World War II was the one I didn't really play that much because that's when Fortnite came out. But I was like 10th prestige in every COD. I played a good amount. And then also in 2020 during Warzone, I quit Fortnite during Chapter 2 Season 3 and played Warzone up until a little bit before Vanguard came out. So I also have played Vanguard, so I am like, not only have I played these games a lot, but I'm pretty familiar with like both the COD community and the Fortnite community. My opinion on this is that like no gaming community at all is happy. I don't think that Fortnite players are happier than COD players. COD players might complain more, but I mean, if you guys follow any sort of like Fortnite content, there's a lot of critical content on the game, whether it's on social media, Reddit, YouTube, whatever. There's people are very critical of Fortnite.
Noticed how
I think COD has just been around longer, so people complain more, like honestly.
Call of Duty players never seem to be as happy as Fortnite players? Well, today we're gonna go over 5 reasons that might just shock you. Let's get into it. Movement. Movement plays a key role in the flow and game.
This is an interesting choice because that was a hot topic in the game at the start of Chapter 5.
Play of Fortnite and COD, as they both are shooter games at their core. Fortnite started out with basic movement upon release. There was walking and running, more so a jog, honestly a leisurely jog. There was also obviously a jumping mechanic.
This is before there was AI in the game, by the way. All these people are human.
Alongside a crouching mechanic. These were the only 4 movements in Fortnite for multiple seasons. It worked quite well. Everything was perfect. Fast forward into 2022 with the release of Chapter 3 Season 2. Mantling and a full-on tactical sprint are finally added to the game. Mantling works as you'd expect. See a ledge, pull yourself up and climb over. Want to be cool? Jump up and then mantle to get even higher. The tactical sprint worked amazingly as well. Each player has a stamina bar that refills automatically but allows players to get a quick burst of speed. This is how most games do mantling and tactical sprinting. So Fortnite didn't invent this movement, but rather found a way to incorporate it.
And they added all that stuff around the time of Zero Build. Zero Build came out Chapter 3 Season 2. Sliding got added Chapter 3 Season 1. And then sprinting and mantling came in the same update that added Zero Build
into their own game. Players loved it. There was a slight learning curve, but for the most part, Fortnite is now hard to imagine without these new movements. Then
100%. Like when it was rumored that OG was not going to have sprinting and mantling, I thought that would have been like such a troll decision.
On December 2nd of 2023, Chapter 5 Season 1 released and changed movement for the worse. Epic Games decided to alter the animations, claiming they'd be smoother and were a much needed improvement, when in reality, they were rough. The biggest change was the flow.
It's so slow.
From walking to running to sprinting. While the animations between each stage looked really flowy, it made for a movement speed that felt.
This movement made me think my controller was broken. Like I felt like I was pressing my stick all the way forward, but like the game wasn't registering that I was pressing it all the way forward because it was that slow. Like it was so jarring.
Much more slower and borderline eliminated the point of tactical sprint. Walking felt like players were stuck in glue, and jogging and sprinting.
We were all walking through Loot Lake 24/7.
felt the same. Pretty much the community hated this decision, but Epic Games did something that not a lot of devs do. They asked for feedback and took it. And you guessed it, 2 weeks later, Epic put...
So I guess the point is going to be here that Fortnite fixed the movement, whereas COD griefed movement and didn't fix it. So I feel like this is more, and this might be another topic in the video, community support. And they did do a good job with this. They have fixed the movement. The walking speed is now like basically the same as it was before chapter 5, and it's a lot better. I've seen a lot of zero build players saying they didn't mind the new movement. I minded it a lot more in build mode, because in builds you can sprint while building, but you can't like actively sprint and place build pieces. And so while you were building, you had that slow movement 24/7, and like where you're standing on your build tile like heavily impacts where you need to be looking to place your next build. And so like building on the new chapter 5 movement was so bad. But luckily they fixed it. And I'm happy they fixed it before their winter break. When they said they were going to fix it, I thought it wouldn't be fixed until like January when they come back. But they did fix it before they went on winter break, which was great. In general, I think like the dev support and like how much Fortnite listens is one of its like strong suits as a game when it's done right. So there's been times where like they nerfed turbo building in like season X, and they reverted that within a day or two. For some reason in like season 5 or 6, they made it to where explosive damage went through walls. So like you could be boxed up, someone could shoot an RPG at your wall, and then you would just take damage with that. And a lot of people who hate building might be like, that's good, but just imagine being in a house and there's grenades that blow up outside the house and you die to it. Like it was so dumb. They fixed that within a day. But there's also been times where they haven't listened, like Siphon. When Apex came out and was getting super popular, they added Siphon to the game, which gave you 50 health or shield when you killed somebody. And then you also got material from them, and you farmed material faster, but you couldn't hold as many mats. So it made the game much more fast paced. It punished you for fighting less. It rewarded third parties less because that person was going to get health. And then also with the faster mat farm rate, made it to where like people who just like farmed max every mat and hit all game didn't have as much of an advantage. So it made the game a lot better. But once Apex kind of died off, or like wasn't, you know, the like hot new game anymore, they removed that stuff from the game. And the entire community like was very pissed about this. Every time Fortnite posted anything on Twitter, like the tweet would be getting ratioed by people saying like bring back Siphon or revert the update. And it got to the point where like they just stopped communicating and stopped like putting out patch notes and everything. And that's why I was saying when it's done well, Fortnite support is very good. But there's been times where it's bad as well. And then same with COD. Like there's some COD developers, like I think the current COD is by Sledgehammer, and they've done a relatively good job of listening to things. Like there was like these OP pistols that they vaulted within a day while they fixed it. That's another thing. Fortnite will typically vault things to fix it, which is good. Like we had the icy grappler get added, and then for some reason there was a bug with that and they replaced it within a day. Treyarch always does a good job, but like Infinity Ward just does like a consistently terrible job with COD.
Puts out an update reverting the movement. So as of now, players are once again satisfied with all the movement, and all it took was Epic Games listening to the community. Now, movement in Call of Duty has kind of been the same as well. When it first started, it didn't have sprint. And believe it or not, COD 3 was the first Call of Duty where sprint was brought in. So early CODs had walking, crouching, sprinting, and even mantling. There was also dolphin diving, which eventually switched into sliding. Players could also crawl when going prone. Then the jetpack era hit, and exosuits added a whole new kind of movement that was groundbreaking.
I liked advanced movement. I didn't like this one as much. Like this game, I didn't mind the movement, but like the game AW I didn't like with all the variant guns. But like Black Ops 3 and like IW's movement, I liked quite a bit.
It was shortly reverted back after 3 installments, which movement in COD stayed the same until around 2019 with the Modern Warfare reboot. Tactical sprint was added, and mantling was overhauled. Slide canceling.
So movement was like the biggest skill gap in like COD at that time, I think, and in Modern Warfare 2019. And you might, in Warzone, like year 1 and 2, you might be like, that's dumb. How is movement a higher skill gap in a shooter than the shooting? But like the COD shooting mechanics have always been like so dumbed down and simple that like everybody can shoot straight in COD, you know? But like the movement was like a huge skill gap in the game, and it was very satisfying to do in Warzone 1.
Became the new meta, and it felt like a refreshing breath of air for longtime COD fans. Whether an intentional feature or not, fans
and you would like use the movement aggressively to jump around corners and stuff, and it made the game less like campy if you could use movement properly.
Loved it. So in COD Modern Warfare 2, they did the most logical move. They took it out. Yeah.
There's Infinity Ward. So there was a skill gap, and that can't be allowed to exist.
Fans were outraged. The devs at Infinity Ward, however, had other plans and ignored the community for the entirety of the MW2 lifespan, causing player counts to go way down. Multiple months of community feedback seem to have been thrown in the trash. Unlike with Fortnite, it took them 2 weeks. Now,
again, Fortnite has gone through periods where they didn't listen to the community as much, and they still don't. Like, there's a lot of things in comp that players are unhappy with. There's always people unhappy in the Fortnite community, but overall, I think if you were to look at the total history of COD compared to the total history of Fortnite, I do think Fortnite probably does a better job at listening, but both have had like good and bad times.
We're finally getting somewhere as Sledgehammer Games steps in to market MW3. Activision...
Yeah, the entire marketing for this game was like, hey, it's everything that you disliked about Modern Warfare 2, we'll actually fix that. And I think Modern Warfare 3 was initially supposed to be like a DLC upgrade for Modern Warfare 2, but the community sentiment around MW2 was so low that they just made it its own game to not be like tied to that.
Advertise the old movement as a selling point for the new game. So rather than fix it in the current game, they decided to advertise it for the next. You can see the disconnect here. A studio that listens in 2 weeks or a studio that doesn't listen at all. It shouldn't take a whole entire year for community feedback to be acted upon. Create a class. Whoa.
That's just kind of the nature of COD though, because they have 3 different dev studios all making games at the same time, and that's how they're able to release a game every year. It's not like the game is made in a year typically. It's that the like dev studios like Treyarch will be working on its game for 2 to 3 years and then release, and then while all that was happening, Infinity Ward and Sledgehammer were making those games. And that was why the advanced movement was so hated, because like people didn't really like it during AW. Like I said, I liked it. There was people that liked it, but I think there was more people that disliked advanced movement than liked it. But like by the time they got that feedback that like, hey, people don't like this advanced movement, Black Ops 3 was already too late in development to change. And then also like COD IW was already too late in its development to change. And that's why they made Modern Warfare Remastered, which was COD 4 Remastered, and packaged it with IW. COD IW was the most like hated game on release. I think it was the most disliked game trailer ever because people were fed up with advanced movement.
Whoa. T-Dog, Fortnite doesn't have a create a class system. It's probably what you're saying right now. You'd actually be wrong to make that claim. Kind of. At the start of this game's life, it had a loot pool rather than a create a class system. This was due to its nature of being, obviously, a battle royale game. The loot had...
also, I forgot to say this at the start of the video. I think also one of the reasons I said that like COD has been around for longer, so people complain more. But I also think a big reason why the COD community is so negative is because it's like split at this point between Warzone and multiplayer, and there's things that like are in opposition. So like he's going to talk about the creative class here. I assume he's going to talk about there being way too many attachments in the game and the customization being too complicated now, but it's good for Warzone. It just sucks for multiplayer. And so when COD was multiplayer, like 6v6, whatever, only, the creative class was much more simplified and it worked better.
Its own ranks, starting at common, then uncommon, then rare, then epic, to the best.
Look at this though. I'm gonna go back on this. I've said many times Fortnite was made,
obviously, a battle royale game. The loot had
Fortnite was built on weekly updates. Just pay attention to the dates here. This is like every week.
Its own ranks, starting at common, then uncommon, then rare, then epic, to the best of the best, legendary. Epic Games would just add in guns and their different tiers with different stats as seasons went on. That is until Chapter 5 Season 1, when Epic Games finally implemented the long-awaited attachment system that had been leaked and discussed extensively for about a year or two. It's very basic, and it kind of reminds me of what COD used to be. Guns can have multiple attachment options from different sights to grips to muzzles. There's 2 to 3 options with just about every single one. Now, they alter how you use the gun in battle and pretty clearly explain how the attachment changes the play style. Players can either just hope that they get a good attachment when picking up guns, or they can find a workbench and use gold to make their own custom class. It's clear Epic Games took the time to make the system interesting and unique for Fortnite. Call of Duty has gone through many variations of create a class, with its most
Pick 10 was the best by far.
recent being the worst rendition of the franchise. It started out with a basic pick your soldier type of feel. Then in COD 4, a system that allowed players to pick attachments, perks, and grenades was implemented before eventually evolving into the Pick 10 system fans know and love. Pick 10 is the idea that a player has 10 slots in a given class. They choose how they get filled up. Players could have 2 guns, each with 4 attachments, but then they can't get perks or lethals or tactical grenades. This incentivizes the player to consciously make a class with limited resources and that best fits how they want to play.
And it like made some weapons more viable than they would be otherwise. So like COD 4, every gun would get 1 attachment, and that's just what it was. But in a game like Black Ops 2 where Pick 10 was a thing, there might be a gun that's like not the greatest, but it's like fine without attachments, whereas like the better option needs attachments. Like the M8, you want like red dot stock on it. And then like the Type 25 was like a faster fire rate AR, which had a faster strafe speed. You could go with that without attachments and then maybe spend those points on like extra perks or extra equipment or whatever. And so like there was a lot more like creativity with it. And making people like, it led to less equipment spam as well, I think, because with more like standard COD, like everybody gets a grenade, everyone gets 2 tactical grenades, and then they spam it. But with like Black Ops 2, a lot of people would give that up to get like extra perks or get extra attachments.
It's not even addressed World War II's create a class system. It was bad. Go check out my thoughts on the divisions in my World War II video. In 2019, all previous systems...
I really liked the weapon customization here, but like I was saying, it was good for Warzone, but for like standard multiplayer, it was just too much. And that's the divide within the COD community right now, is there's Warzone players and multiplayer players, and the game is kind of made to be like okay for both, but like neither really has that great of a game, and typically multiplayer gets the short end of the stick at this point, I would say.
Were ditched for Gunsmith, which wasn't bad for the Modern Warfare reboot, but lacked any flair. As the games continued, the system got more and more convoluted. Now, in Modern Warfare 3, we have 100 attachment options for the scope alone.
That's a lot.
Don't even get me started on how convoluted the MW2 system was. You'd spend 20 minutes making 1 class, and the way you unlocked attachments and guns was insane. It felt like a scavenger hunt just to find the attachment you need. Weapon tuning was...
That is true. I don't care about unlocking stuff. I don't enjoy doing it. I would pay extra money to not have to do it. That's honestly why I quit Warzone and came back to Fortnite. Like the idea of having to play Call of Duty Vanguard to level up attachments, no thank you. But yeah, so like the more attachments added more like grindiness to the weapon unlocks.
Just ridiculous. And thank goodness they removed it in MW3. Yet Activision and the devs continue to ignore the community on what we want for a creator class, which is just for the Pick 10 to come back. I mean,
I think I read that Sledgehammer tried for Pick 10 to come back in Modern Warfare 3, but like somehow Infinity Ward like vetoed that. I don't know if that was true or just what, but yeah.
Come on, Activision. It's not that hard. I'm going to quote...
That's probably another reason why COD players are less happy, is Activision exists. Hopefully things get better under Microsoft, but we'll see.
My grandpa on this one, keep it simple, stupid. We just need to apply that to everything in gaming nowadays. Maps. Fortnite has always been known for the Chapter 1 map. It had iconic landmarks, great terrain, and solid amounts of space to run around while remaining simple. It never tried to do anything fancy, even when the locations would change
That's cap. I'm not trying to be nitpicky, but they did some crazy stuff in Season X. And people hated it and wanted to return to simplicity.
Throughout the seasons. Epic Games adds a volcano? Sure. Fans loved it. It felt like a normal addition. Then, Epic Games implemented chapters as a way to easily start fresh with a new map rather than keep the same one players knew. Like
This is when I quit the game.
Easily start fresh with a new map rather than keep the same one.
But hold on, I want to get it just so you guys can see.
Way to easily start fresh with a new map rather than keep the same.
So I woke up and saw this. And chapter 2 season 1 got very many delays, and then chapter 2 season 2 also got delayed a bunch. And then I woke up and saw this and was like, I guess I'll learn how to play Warzone. And the theme for the season was actually really cool. Like, over time, the water level would go down and reveal more and more of the map. But I just had little faith that they would just not continuously delay things again.
Same one players knew like the back of their hands. Each chapter map has been received fine enough, but sometimes they feel too complex and too big and don't always capture the magic of the OG map. So what did Epic Games recently do to help remedy that and bring old players back? They made a season all about OG Fortnite, where they not only brought back weaponry from the early seasons, but also...
I don't think this is a fair comparison. Because, like, COD taps into nostalgia, too. Isn't the entire map list from the Modern Warfare 3 the maps from Modern Warfare 2, the one that came out in 2009? And then they've also remade COD 4. Cold War had a lot of Black Ops 2 maps.
The map, that's right, the entire OG map was back. Even though that season has ended, Epic Games has decided that at some point in 2024, they will make the OG map a permanent mode alongside whatever map is active. How's that?
I don't know if that's the case. I know they said they're going to do something. I don't know if they said it'll be back permanently. They might have. What I think they should do is, like, for the anniversary event, they already do like a Fortnite birthday anniversary event. I think for that week, make like OG playable. I think that would make sense. But keep it separate. Like, you know how now you can play like Lego or Rocket Racing or Festival? That's how Fortnite OG should be. Like, Fortnite OG should be one of those game modes, but like current Fortnite BR should still be getting updated.
For listening to the community. For the longest time, Call of Duty was...
And the idea that, like, they listened to the community and brought back the OG map, people had been complaining about it and wanting it back before it even left. Like, during Season 8, 9, X, like, people were wanting the game to go back to how it was before. One of the main marketing points for Season X was the return of Dusty Depot. Like, you could just Google, like, I'll maybe put it in the video. The Fortnite Season X teaser was just, like, the Dusty hangars and then, like, an X. So we got OG back in 2023. That map left in 2019. So it wasn't like people just complained and then they added it back right away. Like, it took years.
Also known for making insanely cool maps. Nuketown, Raid, Splash.
Bro, I forgot about this map. This was the first DLC pack in Black Ops 2 that added a new gun for the first time, the Peacemaker.
Dome.
I think I skipped school to play this map pack when it dropped.
Terminal and Hijack, just to name a few. Whether it was the base game or DLC, COD devs always put their all into the maps, of which most were 3-lane design. That all changed when Warzone released in 2020. Modern Warfare 19 already had some iffy maps in it due to the abandonment of 3-lane design and the addition of doors. But once Warzone released, things changed forever. Verdansk was massive and arguably one of the best maps in Battle Royale history.
I didn't like Verdansk very much. There's only Warzone map I played, like that in Rebirth, but I thought Warzone map was, like, Verdansk is kind of overrated. Like, Superstore, great. As far as, like, hot POIs go in BRs, I think Superstore is the best. The Promenade area was fine. Military base and Quarry, I didn't mind. Like, the area above Quarry was terrible. The area next to prison was terrible. Like, downtown was pretty bad. Like, there's a lot of spots on this map that were just not it.
History.
And that's what kind of makes me laugh when I see, like, zero, or not really laugh, but, like, I'll see zero build players, like, critique a map and be like, there's too much open area. And then, like, the COD community praises Verdansk and there was, like, so many wide open areas on this map. But you used cars, and so you didn't have to deal with it.
Was even followed up with Rebirth, which was a map based on the Zombies map and real-world location Alcatraz. Both of these maps were insanely cool, but resulted in two problems. Modern Warfare 19's multiplayer no longer got original maps, but rather segments ripped from Verdansk.
This is what I was talking about. Like, the COD does not do a good job of keeping both the multiplayer and Warzone community happy. Instead of having new maps for multiplayer, they were just Warzone POIs with like some parts like closed off and stuff.
This trend would continue in the following games. Modern Warfare 2 barely had original maps at launch. Every single multiplayer map was based around El Mazrah. Now let's go back to Verdansk. The devs couldn't make as many changes to Verdansk POIs due to the massive scale and graphical power of their engine. It would take months to make changes, while Fortnite can make changes within a few weeks thanks to its small scale.
I never really thought about that. But that makes sense. It was annoying playing Warzone and coming from Fortnite and expecting map changes to be like the content every season and not having there be as many. But I never thought about the fact that like it's the realism versus like cartoony aspect.
Future updates to Warzone happened. Verdansk was eventually replaced by Caldera.
I never played this map. Like I said, the idea of playing Vanguard, I learned how to crank 90s again.
Then Warzone 2 released. Verdansk and Caldera were permanently eliminated alongside Rebirth and Fortune's Keep. You guessed it, this resulted in a big player loss as Warzone 2 map was mediocre at best. To make matters worse, Warzone 1 was taken offline and deleted, the first time Call of Duty has ever done this. Warzone 2 is then renamed to just Warzone, and you better believe the community didn't like this. We're going on now, it feels like 2 years of continuing to ask for Verdansk and
So I think it's rumored that Verdansk is coming back in March. I don't follow COD too closely, but I still have friends that are like content creators in COD. I've seen people say that like Verdansk is coming back in March for the anniversary. So I think it was removed in 2021 for Caldera, or it might have been early 2022. So if Verdansk comes back next year, it would have been what, 3 years or so, 2 or 3 years since it's been out. There was more time between Fortnite Chapter 1 leaving and getting the Chapter 1 map back than there would be between Verdansk leaving and Verdansk coming back. And that's why I was saying I don't think that's like a fair comparison, because I agree people wanted Verdansk back in the same way people wanted the Chapter 1 map back, but we had to wait 4 years.
Continuing to ask for Rebirth to come back, and they finally listened to us. But honestly, I don't think it's because the community asked for it. I think it's their desire to be relevant again.
Yeah, 100%. It's a very easy, like, break this in case of emergency. People will be happy for, like, a brief period of time, and there will be hype in the same way that OG did for Fortnite.
And having to compete with Fortnite game modes. Fortnite has really stepped up its game in the party game modes department and is putting...
Okay, so this is actually something that I think is a hot topic in the Fortnite community. And we'll see what he says, but it seems like he's laying it out as a positive, but I think this is a very large negative in the Fortnite community.
A lot of pressure on every studio out there. Obviously, the main mode of Fortnite's BR has building, but now there's a permanent mode specifically for those who don't want to build, and building is just banned. They also have a
I thought he was going to talk about LTMs.
Mode called Creative. This is where they give tools to players to make their own party modes from horror.
Okay, yeah, so this is like a huge point of irritation within the Fortnite community. So we used to get like creative LTMs pretty much weekly. It was maybe not weekly, but it was like pretty often. It would be like, okay, this update adds this new AR, there's this minor map change, and the floor is lava LTM is here. Like, go and play and have fun. And there'd be a bunch of different LTMs, like snipers only. We have like the ship it mode in the game right now, which is an LTM, which is the first time we've gotten a new LTM in a while. There was like explosives only, solid gold, the Thanos mode. There's a lot of different LTMs over the years. I didn't play them very much, so it's like a struggle for me to think of them. But a lot of people in the Fortnite community are unhappy that Epic has seemingly replaced LTMs with just like creative maps, and then that we don't get high quality LTMs anymore. So he's like saying this as a positive, but I actually think this is like a pretty big negative and something that like pisses off a lot of people in the Fortnite community.
Maps to a working Hunger Games. On top of that, Epic Games have released their very own version of Guitar Hero and a base builder survivor game mode.
This is true. This is like good stuff.
Called Lego.
But it might end up being, like I was saying, there's that divide within the COD community where like the multiplayer and the Warzone community just want different things. If we end up in a world where like 6 months from now, there hasn't been as many updates in BR as people want, or like it seems like there's less content than what we had in like chapter 3, 4, 2, 1, people will blame these modes and say Epic is like focusing on them too much. So it's like a double-edged sword.
Fortnite. This allows players to build and survive within a Lego universe. Wait, if creative is a thing in Fortnite, does that mean... Yep, COD has lost so many players due to their poor decision making that gamers have resorted to making their own COD games. Now, this is something that bothered me as a multiplayer fan. I, for one, am a big fan of party games, gun games, sticks and stones, all that.
Bro, the high roller wager matches was so good.
Also enjoy playing on those classic maps that we talked about, Nuketown being one of my favorite maps. Something that COD Mobile does so well is the ability to put everything that's good about COD in one game. Call of Duty needs to stop removing stuff and then re-adding it in to play later on. Gunfight, amazing. Wasn't it the launch of MW2? Gun game, again, launched with Modern Warfare 3, taken out of the game for no apparent reason. The funniest part of all this, you can actually go on Fortnite right now, boot into one of their mini games, and play gun game on Nuketown in Fortnite. In no world should I be able to play Nuketown.
I assume this has gotten DMCA'd by now.
Gun game on Fortnite and not be able to play it on Call of Duty. Back in the good days of COD, you could play any party mode at any time. If you were in the mood for it, it was there. Now you have to schedule your time around the party modes, and sometimes party modes aren't even in the game. So it's this.
Fortnite would do the same with LTMs though, and people liked it. Like if like the Ship It Express LTM, I don't think is that fun, but it's like something fun to play occasionally or every now and then. If it's just here 24/7, the player count is going to go down, and I feel like that's the case for all the LTMs.
Same boring core game mode.
Like Fortnite does the same thing.
We've all played to death. Give us every mode at launch. Cosmetics.
Okay, so this is an interesting one. I think Fortnite definitely I guess I'll just let him talk. I don't know what I want to say.
Cosmetics. The best and the worst thing to happen to gaming. Fortnite cosmetics are insane. Their skins, pickaxes, weapon skins, emotes with licensed music, loading screens, soundtracks, and so much more. What is this, an ad? Fortnite collabs with every movie, show, game, book.
This is a point of contention though in the Fortnite community. Like people complain about collabs, especially when it brings like overpowered items to the game, like the Kamehameha or the Deku Smash. But I think the culture of Fortnite just like fits with this type of thing more than COD. And this is like an issue going back to like AW, I think. COD AW had supply drops, and there was like mostly military stuff early on, and then as time went on, they started adding like more and more like crazy things that didn't fit the theme of the game, and that pissed people off. Never really bothered me, but it's just the theme of Fortnite is less serious, so they can have more interesting cosmetics and it doesn't matter. Whereas COD cosmetics, if they're boring, people aren't going to care about them, and then if they're not boring, people are going to complain that it's ruining the like immersion of the game or whatever. And like some skins are pay to win in Warzone, like the Rose skin. With the art style of Fortnite, it's harder for like that stuff to work. Like it's harder for a skin to be pay to win or be problematic in that way. And then also Fortnite came out during like the microtransaction era, whereas COD initially with like the earlier titles, you unlocked everything in the game. And now people feel like the unlockables aren't as good because they want to sell the good stuff in the shop. I assume that's what he's going to talk about.
About anything ever. It's a meme by now that you could say, it's the guy from Fortnite. And suddenly, years down the road, it becomes true. I mean, who would have thought Peter Griffin would be in Fortnite? Epic Games is not afraid to make crazy cosmetics, and they have a pretty affordable price. The average skin and pickaxe combo can run you just about $10. Skins also work really well because the game is played from...
I don't care how much skins are in either game as long as there's no pay to win stuff. The problem was when COD had supply drops and there was like OP weapons in those supply drops. But like if they want to sell a skin for like $3,000 and somebody is like dumb enough to buy that, then like GG's to them, you know? Like it doesn't affect the game.
From the third person. Add in a really solid battle pass that every company tries to copy and never does so successfully. And honestly, Epic Games continues to prove it kills the competition in the cosmetic side of things. Aiding this is the cartoon-like...
Look at that, bro.
art style that allows the game to be silly rather than grounded in realism.
That's very, very true. Like the theme and like the art of Fortnite just fits that type thing much better.
Saw this success, so as they usually do, they attempted to make it work on their own games. COD also has an item shop and a battle pass, but they feel pointless, and they just copy what Fortnite has already done. Also, this screen is one of the most confusing things in the entire world. I still don't know how to unlock everything. Now, Call of Duty is a first-person shooter, and I think this is why they've been adding a couple things that weren't in Call of Duty before. They've added executions, also the winning circle. All of these are to show you the skin that you're using, because otherwise, you wouldn't see it. They also have some calling cards that fill up the shop packs that, honestly, I don't think I've ever equipped before in my entire life.
Those used to be unlockable, and there was some that was like you would see somebody in the lobby with it and you'd be like, holy, he has that one, like that guy's gonna be good.
COD also does collabs. Nicki Minaj and Attack on Titans. To be honest with you, I think that these are cool, but sometimes they don't really fit the vibe of the game. Call of Duty has a more realistic...
This is something that never bothered me as a player. I don't think of COD as like a realistic game. Like it is somewhat realistic, but like I'm not playing COD for realism, you know? And if you are, like, that's interesting.
Take on
like if you want a realistic gameplay like Tarkov, you know?
It's art style. So sometimes when you get these skins, for example, the rat, they can feel like a cheap cosplay, almost like the guy's wearing it on his head. Mix that with the fact that the skins cost on average about $20. It really is tough to justify that price. I will say, however, gun skins seem to be the best way to go for COD. Take
100%.
a look at the Doom gun.
But again, they run into what I said, where like when the item shop skins are so much better than the ones that you unlock, that frustrates people because the camo grind was always like a huge part of COD.
The chainsaw and the shotgun look like they
This
did
was cool.
from the OG game, and they even run at a lower FPS. That is super cool. I think COD should embrace gun skins rather than the player skins, and they should also feel free to be creative and loose with their artistic direction. COD Mobile, again, has done well in prioritizing gun skins, so I think we could see the main games do the same. Gone are the days of the World War II era. Just go crazy with your designs. On the flip side, I'm gonna give Activision credit.
Okay, this is why I don't care about item shop skins that have no impact on the gameplay being overpriced. Because if you guys are newer to online games, you're kind of in this meta now where like every game has like cosmetic microtransactions and it's no big deal. Prior to that was RNG loot boxes, and so you could earn some supply drops from playing the game, but you could also buy them. And when they added new guns to the game, you had to get them from supply drops. Or Advanced Warfare had like variant weapons that you had to get from supply drops. Battlefield 4, I had to open so many crates to get the red dot sight that I wanted. I would so much rather there be some overpriced stuff that doesn't affect the outcome of the game than a slot machine that you have to potentially invest a lot of money into to get like the meta stuff. It was so troll.
Finally listened to the community and removed...
I was level 1000 in Black Ops 3. I never had the MSMC. Or the XMC, whatever it was called. It was a reskin of the MSMC. But it was a supply drop weapon, so I never had it. And, you know, whenever they added new guns, they would also add like a bunch of nonsense to make it harder for you to get the guns.
Loot boxes from their games, which was arguably more predatory than anything.
See, look at this. You could get a cosmetic. This is like a change to the way the grip looks. Same with that. You can get some double division XP. And then that's just there so you get the things that you actually want less frequently.
Ever done.
And like every game had these.
cosmetically recently. I would truly be down to see a new weapon blueprint come in the store every single day. Conclusion. After going over all the similarities and differences between Fortnite and COD, I hope it is now easier to see why Fortnite continues to dominate the arcade shooter market. Not only does Epic Games implement systems into their games better than COD does, but they also listen to their community more. If Fortnite fans verbalize something they want in their game, Epic Games seems to rush to make amends rather than ignoring the fans and using their wants as a selling point for a future game. Now, that being said, Modern Warfare 3 seems to be a turning point. Sledgehammer Games has done a great job of addressing the wants of the
COD fans say that every year, and I know that because I was one for years, you know?
The COD fans with MW3.
They're listening this year.
With Treyarch on the horizon,
They're gonna do everything right.
and them being known for also listening to the community. But if not,
That's true. Treyarch is amazing. But yeah, it's hard for me to answer this question. I do think Fortnite players probably are happier than COD players, but it's not like everything is perfect in Fortnite. It's just kind of the way it is. And I don't think any game will ever have players that are entirely happy. And people will say, like, why play the game if you complain about it? The reason why people are complaining about the game is because they care. Like, that is it. End of story. If people didn't care about the game, then they wouldn't complain and they would just stop playing. That's how I felt when I quit Fortnite. I just didn't care, so I went and played a different game. When I quit Warzone and came back to Fortnite, I didn't care about the game anymore. And so, yeah, I think every gaming community is unhappy, and it just is what it is. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. The original video will be linked down in the description if you guys want to watch that. And I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.